Good morning to all. So today we'll be revising the first chapter from the paper Informatics, which is the general introduction. So in this chapter we have five major topics that we have to focus on. So which includes the introduction, then we have the history of computer development, then evolution of computers, then types of computers, then significance of information technology, and finally we have the significance of the internet. So these are the topics that we have to focus on. So the first part is regarding the introduction part of for this chapter. So which includes the definition of the computer, in which the word computer comes from the word the compute, which means to calculate, and also the definition for the informatics, as well as the definition for the computer itself. So a computer to be a calculating device that can perform the arithmetic operation at enormous speed. And also we have a clear definition for the computer, in which the computer appears differently to different people. The computer appears to be a magic watch to a layman. So it means that we have to depend upon the definition of the computer. So basically the computer is a sophisticated electronic device which is capable of solving problems or manipulating data by accepting the data and instructions, performing the prescribed operations on data, and supplying the results of these operations as output. So this is the definition for the computer, the exact definition for the computer. So we have to focus on that topic first. Then we have the evolution of computers. So we have the evolution of computers. In this part we have the five major divisions, the five major generations of computers. So before that we have the early days of this history of this computer development, in which the ancient civilization, then the Pascal, Leibniz, and Jacquard. So the Leibniz wheel is also a very important factor. So regarding the Charles Babbage, he was the mathematics professor at Cambridge University, and in 1823 he introduced the difference engine, which is the largest and most sophisticated mechanical calculator of his time. Then the difference engine, regarding the difference engine, it can solve the polynomial equation along with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division to 6 digits. And difference engine was not actually completed because the British government cut off the funding for this project in 1842. Then after that he introduced the analytical machine, which is a general purpose programmable computing machine, and it is considered to be as the first true computer. And also the analytical machine had all the some parts that modern computer systems have. Then that's regarding the major invention done by Charles Babbage. And also we have the difference engine number 2, which was the unfinished work by the Charles Babbage. And then we have the sensors automated machines, which was introduced by Hermann Hollerich. So these are some important factors regarding the early days of this history of this computer development. Then we have the most important topic of this module, which is the birth of computers, as well as the different generations of these computers. So, in the birth of computers, we have two major topics, which include the World War II and the von Neumann. So, the World War II, during that time in 1931, the US Navy and IBM began working together to build a general purpose computer, which is called as the Mark I, and it was the first computer to use the base 2 binary system, and it was programmable and also made of vacuum tubes, then relays, magnets, and gears. So the Mark I was completed in 1944. So these are some important factors regarding the Mark I. And then regarding the von Neumann, we have the von Neumann architecture, in which the process of the or the concept of the storing the data with the help of these programs. So the concept of the creating the idea of the stored computer program, which is still implemented today in computers that use the von Neumann architecture. So regarding the von Neumann concept, it is regarding the storing the computer program data. So that's regarding the von Neumann concept. Then we have the generations of the computer. So basically this is also a question in the university exams. So the five generations of the computer. So we have the first generation, in which In the first generation computers use the thermonic tubes, which is the vacuum tubes, as the basic elements. Then the key concept of a stored program was introduced by John von Neumann. Then also the programs and their data were located in the same memory as they are today. So regarding the first generation computer, it used the thermonic tubes, which is the vacuum tubes. And also we have some important factors regarding the first generation computer, which includes some examples. So first one, we have the ENIAC, then the EDVAC, then also the EDSAC Mark 1, and also the UNIVAC. So these are some examples for the first generation of computers. Then we have the advantages and also the disadvantages of this first generation computers. So we have three major advantages, which includes the vacuum tubes are the only electronic components available during those days. So these are some important aspects regarding the advantages. Then vacuum technology made possible the advent of electronic digital computers, and also these computers were the fastest calculating devices of their time. They could perform the computation in milliseconds. So these are some important advantages of the first generation computer. So we have some disadvantages too. So the basically these computers were too bulky in size, and also it consumed a very large space. Then the second point is regarding the reliability. So they are the unreliable types of computers. Then thousands of vacuum tubes were used, emitted the large amount of heat and burned out frequently. So it is also a disadvantage. Then the slow operating speed and restricted computing capacity. Then also the high power consumption and short lifespan. Then the air conditioning is required. Then non-portable, constant maintenance is required. Commercial production was difficult and costly, and also the limited programming capabilities, and hence the limited commercial use. So these are some important disadvantages of this first generation computer. And basically the one of the important factor regarding the disadvantages of this first generation computers is that it use the high power consumption, and also the short lifespan, and also constant maintenance is required, and then the non-portability. So these are some important disadvantages of this first generation computer. Then we have the second generation computers. So the second generation computers began with the advent of this transistorized circuitry, and also the magnetic core and magnetic drum storage devices were widely used in this generation. And also the basic computer high level languages were used, like the Fortran, COBOL, ALGOL, etc. Then the system programs were called as the compilers, were developed to translate the high level language programs into corresponding executable machine language form. And IBM became the major computer manufacturer during this time. Then we have some important factors regarding the advantages of this second generation computer. So basically, the smaller in size as compared to the first generation computer, then more reliable, lower power consumption, and the has hence they reduce the running cost. Then higher operating speed, then also the better portability, and the most important thing is that they reduce the manufacturing cost, and hence the wider commercial use. So these are some advantages of this second generation computer. Then regarding the disadvantages, we have four major disadvantages. So the first one is that the air condition was required. Second one is that the frequent maintenance was required. And thirdly, the manual integration of individual components into functioning units was required. And finally, the commercial production was difficult and costly. So these are some disadvantages of this second generation computer. Then in the third generation computer, the lifespan was from 1965 to 1975. So in this third generation computer, the third generation of computing spanned from 1965 to 1975, and during this time, the integrated circuits and transistors, resistors, and capacitors were etched into the piece of silicon. So basically the IC chips were introduced from the third generation onwards. So in second generation, it is only use the transistor security. So instead of that, here we have the use of this IC chips in the third generation. So it is very important. So in the first generation was the thermonic tube, the vacuum tubes. Second generation in this computers, they use the transistor security, and the third generation they use the IC chips, which means the integrated circuit board. Then the important factor regarding the third generation computer is that the Advanced Research Project Agency Network, the ARPANET, was introduced in this generation. Then we have some important advantages of this third generation computer. So before that, the PDP one, which means the programmed data processor one, which can be called as the first mini computer, was introduced in this third generation. So it is also very important factor. Then we have the advantages of this third generation computers. So basically, the smaller in size as compared to the previous generation of computers, then more reliable than second generation computers, and then the lower heat generated, the computational time reduced from the microseconds to the nanoseconds, then the maintenance cost is low because hardware failures are rare, then easily portable, then total general purpose, and also the lesser power requirement, then manual integration was not required, and also the commercial production was easier and cheaper. Then we have the two major disadvantages of this third generation computer. So the first one is that air conditioning required in many cases, then the higher sophisticated technology required for the manufacture of these IC chips. So these are the disadvantages of this third generation computers. Now we have the fourth generation computers, the lifespan from the 1975 to 1985. So in the fourth generation of computers, the microcomputers were introduced. So the first one was the Altair 8800, which was introduced in 1975. Then another important factor is that the two major companies were introduced during this period. So the first one is the Apple computers, in which they established in 1976, and also in 1981 Microsoft Disk Operating System, the MS DOS, was released. So this is also very important factor. Then the first mouse was developed in 1981 by Xerox. Then also the first truly portable computer called the Osborne 1 was released in 1981. So these are some important factors regarding the fourth generation computers. Then we have the advantages of these fourth generation computers. So the first one is that the smallest in size because of high density of components in a single chip. Then the second one is that more reliable, and thirdly, heat generator is negligible. Then air conditioning was not required in many cases. Then much faster in computation. Then hardware failure is negligible, and hence the minimal maintenance cost. Then we have easily portable because of their small size. Then totally the general purpose. Then minimum labor cost involved at a assembly stage, then cheapest among all generations. So we have one important disadvantage of this fourth generation computer, so which means that the highly sophisticated technology is required for the manufacture of this VLSI chips. So VLSI chip means the very large scale integration. So this is the only one disadvantage of this fourth generation computers. Now we have the fifth generation, the last generation of these computers, in which from 1985 onwards. So in the fifth generation of computers, the fastest computers were introduced. So in 2008, the IBM Roadrunner was introduced as the fastest computer in the world at 1.026 pflops, which means the petaflops. So we have some advancement in this generation, in which the Intel and AMD, both the main computer processor companies, they introduced different types of these processors during this time. Then also regarding the OS, we have the Microsoft Windows 95, which was released, and then the Mac OS X was introduced. Then Linus Torvalds introduced the Linux kernel during this time. Then the computers have become more and more online oriented in modern times, especially with the development of this World Wide Web. Then also the popular companies like the Google, Yahoo, etc. So these are some important advancement during the fifth generation of computers. So with that we completed the first major topic of this module, which is the history of computers, the generations of computers, etc. So now we have second major topic, which is the types of computers. So under the types of computers we have the personal computers, then the mainframe computers, and also the supercomputers. So these are the three major categories of these types of computers. Then under the personal computers we have the workstation, desktop PC, network PC, laptop PC, then the netbook PC, tablet PC, and the mobile devices. So these are some important categories of these personal computers. Then we have the mainframe computer and also the supercomputers. So these are the major types of computers. So regarding the personal computers, we have the definition for the personal computer, in which the personal computer is a general purpose computer whose size, capabilities, and original sales price make it useful for the individuals, and which is intended to be the operated directly by an end user with no intervening computer operator. Then also it include the desktop computers or the laptop, tablet PC, or the handheld PC. So these are some important personal computers that we have to focus on. So under this category we have the workstation, which is the first category, in which a workstation is a high-end personal computer designed for the technical and scientific applications. Then regarding the desktop PC, we have the definition for the desktop PC, in which it is a personal computer in a form intended for the regular use at a single location, as opposed to a mobile laptop or the portable computer. So it is the definition for the desktop PC. Then we have the network PC, which means it is a very small form factor, inexpensive, low voltage desktop computer designed for the basic tasks such as the surfing the internet, accessing the web-based applications, then document processing, and also the audio and video playback. So these are some important factors regarding the network PC, the definition for the network PC. Then we have the laptop PC. So the laptop computer, for simply the laptop, is called as a notebook computer, or sometimes called as a notebook itself. So it is a personal computer designed for the mobile use, and small and light enough to sit on a person's lap while in use. So it includes the typical components of a desktop computer, including a display, a keyboard, and also a pointing device. Then so these are some important factors regarding the laptop PC. Then it is regarded as a desktop replacement. Then also the size, regarding the size, then also the features, which includes the budget PC and the tablet PC, netbook PC, then the gaming laptop, also the rugged laptops. So we have the advantages of these laptops and also some disadvantages of this laptop. So the advantages includes the immediacy, then the up-to-date information, the connectivity. Then the other advantages include the size, ease of access, the low power consumption, then battery. So these are some important factors regarding the advantages. Then regarding the disadvantages, we have the performance measurements, then the upgradability, durability, as well as the security. So these are some important factors regarding the laptop PC. Now we have the netbook PC. So the netbook PC means it is like the laptop computer itself. It is suited for the general computing and the accessing the web based applications. So it is the definition for the netbook PC. Then we have the tablet PC, then booklets, slates, which are and also the convertibles, hybrids. So these are the four major types of this tablet PC. Then also we have the advantages and disadvantages of this tablet PC. And finally we have the mobile devices. which one of the most important factor regarding the mobile devices includes the personal digital assistant, which is the PDA. Then we have some important factors regarding the mobile devices, which includes the advantages, some features of this mobile devices, and different types of this mobile devices, which includes the PDA and also the pocket PC. Then we have second category, which is the mainframe computer. So the term mainframe computer was created to distinguish the traditional large institutional computer intended to service multiple users from the smaller single user machines. Then we have some features of this mainframe computers, and also some important factors regarding the mainframe computers, in which we have the two types of these mainframe computers, and also the how the mainframe computers are different from the supercomputers. So the our last topic under the types of computers is the supercomputers. So a supercomputer is a computer that is at the front line of current processing capacity, particularly speed of calculation. Then also the supercomputers can process the billions of instructions per second. So these are some important factors regarding the supercomputers. So with that we completed the types of computers. This is a second most important topic of this module. Then we have the significance of this information technology. So the information technology, or the we have the components of this information technology. So the information technology is also known by the name the ICT, which means the information and communication technology. And IT can be defined as the technology required for the information processing. And we have the components of this IT, which include the computer hardware technologies, then the computer software technologies, telecommunication and network technologies, and finally the data resource and the management technologies. Then the impact of the information technology, which is a general topic in which we have some important divisions under the impact of the information technology, which includes the economic impacts, then the social impacts, and also the economic development. And also the significance of IT can be summarized by some important points, in which it can be used in the business, in the field of medicine, in the field of science and engineering, and it can be used for the security systems, for the public databases, then the GPS or the global processing system. Then it can be used for the entertainment sector, for the world wide web, and it is used for the natural sources, the better usage of these natural resources, then for the economic status in order to enhance it, and the IT in education, then IT for employment, then the IT in administration, and also IT in healthcare, and also the commercial business, and finally the in the field of this news and media organization. So these are some important factors regarding the IT. And our last topic in this chapter is the significance of the internet. So the internet is a global system of interconnected computer networks that use the standard internet protocol suite, which is the TCP or the IP, to serve the billions of users worldwide. So regarding the significance of the internet, we have some modern uses of this internet, and also the internet services, which includes the information, then the communication, and also the data transfer. So it is very important, the three major internet services. Then also the social impact of the internet. So with that we completed the four major topics, which includes the including the introduction we have the five major topics. So with that we completed the first module, the major topics of this first module. Then we have some important questions from this category. So basically we have some fill in the blanks, which means the ENIAC, EDSAC, UNIVAC, ARPANET, etc. Then we have some short answer questions, which includes the categories of PC, in which means the types of PC, then the different categories of this mobile computing devices, then also who introduced the stored program concept, which means the John Newman, and also the some advantages and disadvantages of this different generations of these computers. Then regarding the short essay questions, we have the classification of computers, and also we have the separate from the topics from the generations of the computers. So basically the two major topics that we have to focus on is that the generations of computers, then the types of computers, and the general two topics which include the IT and also the internet. So these are the topics that we have to focus on in this chapter. So we have some essay questions in which the features of computers of the various generations. It is very important question in which we have to answer this question by going through the 5 major generations of this computer. So this is the first important question. Second one is that the history of the development of computers from the early days to the 5th generation of computers. Then also the significance of IT, then also the significance of internet, and also the types of computers. So these are some important questions from this first module. So we have to go through the 5 major topics, which includes the introduction part of this chapter, then the history of the computer, which includes the evolution of computers. Then the third topic is that the different types of these computers, the personal computers, mainframes, and supercomputers. And finally we have the IT, and also the last one is the internet. So these are the topics that we have to focus on. So with that, we wind up today's class, the revision of the first module of this informatics paper, which is the general introduction. So that's for today. Thank you. Happy learning.